And then, as always, the craziness extends to the classroom. What about the 12-year-old boy who stood up, gave evidence to some sort of committee somewhere? His crime? He wore a T-shirt that said there are only two genders.
I have been told that my shirt was targeting a protected class. Who is this protected class? Are their feelings more important than my rights? I don't complain when I see pride flags and diversity posters hung throughout the school. Do you know why? Because others have a right to their beliefs just as I do. Not one person, staff, or student told me that they were bothered by what I was wearing. Actually, just the opposite. Several kids told me that they supported my actions and that they wanted one too. I was told that the shirt was a disruption to learning. No one got up and stormed out of class. No one burst into tears. I'm sure I would have noticed if they had. I experience disruptions to my learning every day. Kids acting out in class are a disruption, yet nothing is done. Why do the rules apply to one, yet not another? I feel like these adults were telling me that it wasn't okay for me to have an opposing view. Their arguments were weak, in my opinion.
You know, we talk about a bravery deficit these days. You know, everyone's afraid to say what they think, and this goes for parents and teachers and politicians and certainly actors and almost everybody. Here you got a 12-year-old doing the right thing. Of course he's right. I mean, there are only two genders, and you can pretend to be another gender if you want, and you can dress however you want. I don't care how, an adult dresses. But this nonsense is being pushed on kids relentlessly, and this kid did the brave thing. He said, wait a minute, there are only two genders. I know that. Even at 12 years old, I know enough about science to know that that's actually the truth. And of course, everybody's going after him and everything else. But my guess is he has probably a very bright future in front of him. And he's already passed the test. It's a test in life. Will you ever stand up and do the right thing? Will you say the right thing when it's unpopular? And I think he has a leg up on all his classmates right now.
See, you're right when you say that he's got a bright future, and it's something that I think in Australia we're envious of about the size of the United States, is that if that sort of thing had happened in this country, I'm not sure the kid would have had a bright future, because there's not the two Americas. There's not like a two Australias where you can be a completely successful, normal centre-left or centre-right person. Instead, this country is very much more so that we all know that the gatekeepers are all of the left. Is that one of the joys of your move from California to Florida, that you've now seen this, you've always known it, but you're now living in this other side of America, one where you can become successful, a billionaire, and it doesn't matter what your opinions are versus keeping you down because you're not kissing the ring lovingly enough in lefty land?
Yeah, it absolutely is, Paul. And might I recommend that you personally and anyone watching this show in Australia import some federalism into your system. You guys have a massive, massive landmass. There is no reason, technically at least, why you couldn't have a more federalist system where, depending if you live in Western Australia, you live in Northern Australia, et cetera, that the laws could be significantly different. Not just the city that you live in that might have some regulation, but really geographic differences. That's what we have in America. That's what federalism is all about. Our founders did something really, really brilliant. They said, hey, you guys, we are going to be the United States of America, but the key part is that we are going to have individual states where virtually all of the things that affect you on your day-to-day basis in terms of taxes and roads and policing, et cetera, that will be done by the state. The federal government is supposed to have very few things to do. One of the things it's supposed to do, of course, is protect the border. Now, it doesn't do that, so we've got states like Texas, which has a border with Mexico, actually doing the work of the federal government. But I think that almost every country, but certainly countries with the geographic size of Australia, a little federalism would go a long way, because you're right. If you say the unpopular thing and you live in Cali and you pay the price for it, whatever that means, whether it's a mob at your house or getting fired or whatever, you can still move to Tennessee, Texas, or Florida. Rarely it happens where people leave those places and end up in those woke dystopias, going the other way. But that's a beautiful option that we have here, because if you're not happy, you can move to another state. You don't have to leave the country.
Yeah, feel free to jump on to all of our socials and tell us which bit of Australia you think we should become the anti-woke state, dare I say the Florida of Australia.